Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, good people. Clap it up, good people. We got another win. Yes, the 5-1 Dallas Cowboys took down the New England Patriots. That's all that matters. All is right in the world. The Cowboys got a dub. It was anxiety from start to finish. Good Lord. Jay, I don't think we talked at all over the weekend, man. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good. You know, I would like to say that I'm getting a little bit sick of all these Cowboys victories, but I did tell you that they would win and cover, so I'm happy that at least my bet was secured when they did cover the 4.5 that I laid on them early, and I think it actually got bet down to 3.5. So thankfully, CeeDee Lamb bailed me out, Dak bailed me out, because that game was closer than I wanted it to be honest.
We talked about it last week. I think it was Friday where I said I was a little nervous. for my Cowboys. Coming off of a couple of big wins on the road in New England versus Bill Belichick, I was like, this is set up to be a letdown game. But unlike the Cowboys teams of the past, they are finding ways to win despite bad play. Because for a while, they dominated. We'll get into this later, but they dominated time possession. And they were still down going into halftime. And, Mac Jones put him in position to win the game, and Dak Prescott found a way to pull it off. So excited about that. But we've got a lot, Jay, to cover in the introductions. So good morning to all the good people out there. Happy Monday. Make today great, y'all. Let's start this October 18th Monday off on the right foot. I can't believe we're already in October, man. 2021 is flying past. The football season, both NFL and college, flying past, man. We're already, 6 weeks down of the NFL season. Just crazy to me. But want to talk about some other sports real quick. Congratulations to the Chicago Sky for winning the WNBA championship yesterday. This is Candace Parker, man. Candace Parker, this is her second. She won one in L.A., decides to go home to Chicago, brings home a title to her city, man. Candace Parker, 16 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. She was not the Finals MVP, WNBA Finals MVP. That honor went to Kalia Copper. She balled out the entire series. They took down Phoenix. Happy for Candace Parker. And the Atlanta Braves, Jay, the Braves are 2-0 versus the Dodgers? Not good for my pick, the Dodgers, man.
Yeah, the Braves are 2-0 against the Dodgers, walked off again last night. First loss Max Scherzer has suffered, or the team has suffered with Max Scherzer on the hill. So the Braves took care of business at home, so we're going to see what they can do in L.A., but great start for the Braves, who still are down arguably their best player in Ronald Acuna for the season.
Yeah, man. World Series, so it's looking like we're the matchup that we wanted to see, which would have been the Dodgers and the Red Sox, right?
Dodgers versus anybody, right?
Dodgers versus anybody. How often do teams come back in baseball down 0-2? We talk about in basketball, when you're down 0-2, it's probably not good, or the winner of Game 5 normally wins the series. How do the Dodgers have a chance to come back?
Dodgers absolutely have a chance, right? A lot of people say a series doesn't start until someone loses at home, right? And so, Atlanta held serve. They won their games at home. So we're going to see what the Dodgers can do. But the Dodgers have the firepower to do it. But they got to win their games at home, turn it into a 3-game series. And then I think a lot of people believe in a 3-game series that the Dodgers can win 2-3.
All right. Well, let's transition on to college football and rapid fire this thing right here. So this past weekend, the University of Georgia beat down number 11 Kentucky. Georgia is looking like the best team defensively. I don't know. I don't know who's going to be able to score enough points to beat them defensively. Stetson Bennett is playing fantastic. They've got stars, future first-round picks on every level, D-line, linebackers, and in the secondary. Number 2, Iowa Hawkeyes were defeated by Purdue. David Bell went off. David Bell, the Rondale Moore understudy, 11 receptions, 240 yards, and 1 touchdown. Spencer Petras, the quarterback, or whatever his name is from Iowa, had 4 damn interceptions. He did not look good. And, Jay, there is a fantastic tweet from the Iowa Hawkeye social media team. We beat the number 2 out of Iowa. And, That's exactly what happened. They beat the number 2 team, and they beat the shit out of Iowa. The game was not as close as the final score indicated. Iowa couldn't do anything, man. I mean, they were turning the ball over left and right. They had no answer for David Bell. And the number 2 team, which a lot of people thought were frauds, finally ended up taking that L, and now we do not have to worry about seeing Iowa in the college football playoff because nobody, absolutely nobody outside of people who live in Iowa, which I know very few of those, wanted to see that matchup in the first place. We got Cincinnati. They defeated UCF 56-21. They are now number 2 in the AP poll. Desmond Ridder continuing his dominance this season in college football. Number 4, Oklahoma stomped TCU behind the arms and the legs of freshman phenom Caleb Williams. 295 passing yards and 4 touchdowns through the air, 9 carries, 66 yards, 1 on the ground. There was a lot of talk during this game about Caleb Williams potentially making his way into that Heisman Trophy sort of finalist group. Still think he's got a little ways to go, but the future is bright with Caleb Williams. I don't know if you got a chance to watch this, Jay, but this offense looks completely different with Caleb Williams at the helm and all but solidifies Spencer Rattler. Not that we didn't think this would be happening, but Spencer Rattler's gone. Spencer Rattler is gone. And Matt Bruning making more Heisman proclamations after everybody and their mom thought Bijan Robinson actually had a legitimate shot at winning the award. When Devi and C2C invade conventional wisdom in the betting market, you will lose money. There was no shot for Bijan Robinson to win the Heisman Trophy, and there's probably not a good chance for Caleb Williams to win this award either. After this week, the Heisman favorites, Bryce Young at plus 180, Matt Corral second at plus 190, CJ Stroud plus 900, Kenneth Walker plus 1600, and Desmond Ridder sitting there at 18-1 odds. And speaking of Alabama, they took down Mississippi State. Bryce Young was fantastic in that matchup, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns. Number 1 overall pick watch. You know, let's Kevon Thibodeau, we all saw the play where he just came off the edge and absolutely destroyed the Cal quarterback. My choice, who probably should be the number 1 overall pick, Matt Corral went nuts and, in my opinion, is still very, very, very much in the driver's seat, even though the bettors have a slight point differential between him and Bryce Young. I think Matt Corral is going to end up winning the Heisman Trophy. He went nuts on the ground and through the air versus Tennessee. What a hostile environment it was by those classy Tennessee Volunteer fans, throwing all kinds of shit on the field at players. They had to evacuate the non-essential team members. Just a black eye for Tennessee. Looked terrible. Malik Willis. Jay, I just want to talk about Malik Willis real quick because PFF, the great PFF, posted a clip of Malik Willis running around and scrambling, and he picks up like 6 yards on the play. All the talent is there. I mean, we get it. We said this about Spencer Rattler. All the talent is there. Malik Willis' past 2 games, he has been a turnover machine. Another 3 interceptions in this matchup. I'm telling you right now, I don't care what team drafts him early because he's going to go early, whether that be the football team, the Lions, the Eagles, the Texans, whomever it may be. It would be a wise decision to let Malik Willis sit on the bench. He is not ready yet. Not yet. Decision-making, he gets away with a lot of stuff playing at Liberty, but if Louisiana Monroe is out there causing problems like that, I'm just telling you, there's 2 weeks in a row, bad decision after bad decision after bad decision for Malik Willis. And then Sam Howell was kind of mad, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, another 98 and 2 on the ground. You know, as I sat back and I thought about this morning, man, I mean, I think Sam Howell might be the most pro-ready, but even then, he's still right now, he's still a step behind Mac Jones for me, in my opinion. Like, if both of those guys were coming out, I'd still rather have Mac Jones over Sam Howell. The only quarterback that I would want over Mac Jones right now, based off of what we've seen, is Matt Corral, and that is his ability to do it on the ground and through the air. Listen, I don't know, man. I don't know if you got to watch any college, Jay. Do you have any thoughts on this before we jump into the NFL?
So I'm glad you touched on Sam Howell because, like you talked about, I think and we talked about it with the draft we did, the Devy draft, and I think he's going to go high because he has all the skills, all the upside, right? It's all there. You can see it. But as well, like you mentioned, he's coming in a weak draft class. So there's not a whole lot to go from. And he's going to go high simply because he has, not quite the Josh Allen mold, but probably the closest QB to that, other than maybe Carson Strong. But Carson Strong can't run it all.
I don't even think it's that. I just think I honestly think it's just supply and demand. It comes down to supply and demand. Right now, we can rattle off at least 7 NFL teams that need a quarterback. Maybe not for next season, right? Maybe the Detroit Lions can get by with Jared Goff another season, right? But they need to have a succession plan. Pittsburgh, they need a quarterback. The Saints probably need a quarterback. So I don't even think it's the fact that he's in the Josh Allen mold, because I don't believe that to be the case, but simply supply and demand. NFL teams need quarterbacks, and you've got 5 or 6 flip a coin who could hit, and I wouldn't be shocked if the majority of them flamed out. Like we keep talking about 2021, which ones are going to be the busts? I don't think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. I don't believe it's going to be Mac Jones. I don't think it's going to be Fields. I don't think it's going to be Lance.
We'll
listen,
see, right? But to your point, the
see.
talent is head and shoulders above what we're seeing this year. And then the other question I have for you is, am I a fraud if I am now rooting for Oklahoma? Am I a fraud? Because I've been on record talking crap about Oklahoma for weeks and weeks and weeks. Main reason why: Spencer Rattler overrated, not playing well, turns the ball over a lot. Caleb Williams now at the helm. The team looks way better. They look way better.
No, you're not a fraud. I want to see. I want to see him in. I want to see him in.
They deserve to be in the playoff with Caleb Williams at the helm, and they would be.
I want to see him in.
It would be very difficult to keep them out. They should go undefeated now.
Yeah,
they should go undefeated.
I want to see them in. They should win the Big 12, and if they win the Big 12, they're in. Let's real quick. See, this is where I have such a problem with social media, and especially fandom. Fandom is really, like, I get you, Stone. Hell no, Goff cannot be the QB for the Lions in 2022. Do you have any confidence that any of those quarterbacks in 2022 can come in right away from day one and play better than Jared Goff? The reality is, no, man. You're talking about a quarterback who took a team to a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I get it. He's not playing well right now. But the reality is, Detroit stinks. Philadelphia stinks. The play calling is terrible. The weaponry around these quarterbacks is bad. Detroit's missing, 3 out of 5 starting offensive linemen? It just, I can't take it, man. Everybody in the world thinks that these guys, let's just replace them and we'll be better. I promise you. You stick Malik Willis in Philadelphia's offense as it is right now, and it's just as much as a shit show with Malik Willis as it is Jalen Hurts. I promise you that. You throw Desmond Ridder in Detroit's situation right now, and it's just as much of a cluster, you know what, as it is with Jared Goff. There are no quarterbacks outside of Matt Corral. And even Matt Corral is still working his way there. I'm not trying to proclaim him to be the second all-pro coming of Patrick Mahomes, but we got to stop this, man. Like, these are NFL quarterbacks that we're talking about versus quarterbacks who are throwing against Louisiana Monroe, against Miami, against Boise State University. Like, let's pump the brakes on just inserting quarterback and thinking we've got the next damn Justin Herbert. We got to stop, man. Golly. Yeah.
So one of the problems I think is that, one, Dan Campbell is already talking about how Goff has to play better. And on top of that, it's just one of these things with NFL franchises now. It's the leash for these quarterbacks is becoming shorter and shorter every year. And they're just like, you know what? We'll get another guy in there. It may not work out. It may not work in our favor. But they don't care. They just need to see someone else run that offense. And that is what it is. That's a business decision by them. It's a wasted pick a lot of the times, but at some point you have to take a shot. Whether you're Detroit, whether you're the Giants, whether you're, the Carolina Panthers, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm on board.
Someone has to take a shot eventually.
I'm on board.
But I'm with you. They need to wait till 2022.
I didn't say for them not to draft a quarterback. I'm saying thinking that some rookie is going to come in and just instantly play better than what Goff or what Darnold, and I don't like Darnold. They need to find a quarterback of the future as well. But all I said is they might be able to get you through next season to let a Malik Willis develop, right? To let a Malik Willis see the speed of the NFL game, to learn defensive concepts. That's all I'm saying. That's all. I'm not saying any of these teams need to forego the position. you need to do it. But Goff, Bridgewater, Matt Ryan, these are bridge quarterbacks. These are the perfect guys to sit behind. Even Jimmy Garoppolo, for Christ's sake. I'm telling you, the 4 weeks that Trey Lance sat behind Jimmy Garoppolo probably did him a little bit of good, right? Just to sit, learn, understand concepts, and then when he comes in, you see he still didn't have a good game, albeit versus the Cardinals. I'm just saying, man, like let's pump the brakes, but that's rookie watch here on this Monday. I'm fired up. I'm fucking fired up, man. But let's go ahead and get into beat the what? No, we're not even in beat the morning run. Jesus, wake up!
This is the morning run.
Run, Forrest, run!
All right. So the Jaguars got their first win. Round of applause for Jacksonville.
Yes!
Round of applause. Didn't we call this one? Didn't we say Jacksonville would pick up their first win? We called this one. Jacksonville picks up their first win versus the Dolphins. And I don't know about you, man. I was happy for Jacksonville. I was happy for the players. I was happy for Urban Meyer getting one. You know, give Urban Meyer. You can just see the exhaustion on Urban Meyer's face when that field goal went in. He about dropped to his knees and just thanked whomever gods he believes in. But, oh, my gosh, great win for the Jaguars. Terrible loss for the Dolphins. Miami, that trade with Philadelphia is looking worse and worse. But right now, I think they'd have the number 2 pick in the NFL draft, and that belongs to the Philadelphia Eagles. T-Law looks like the future, man. He's the absolute truth.
Very good.
He's going to be very, very good. James Robinson is no joke. He smashed his rushing prop. He beat his rushing prop at 73.5 yards. Locked that in. Jalen Waddle, I put up the prayer candle in the middle of the game because he started off 4 receptions on the first drive, and I was like, the over-under is 4.5. He's got it. And then he didn't get another target into the third quarter. But Jalen Waddle, 10 for 70, 2 touchdowns. He played fantastic. The Dolphins, Myles Gaskin, fooled me once, shame on you. Fooled me twice, shame on me. You can't get fooled again, George Bush style. I got fooled again. We all got fooled again because I started Myles Gaskin, and that son of a you-know-what did absolutely nothing, was dropping passes left and right. Malcolm Brown in the game, Savon Ahmed. I'm sick of Miami. I'm sick of them. I'm tired of them. They're terrible. Marvin Jones is good. Trevor Lawrence is good. James Robinson. What's going to happen with Travis Etienne when he comes back? Because J-Rob is earning his keep right now, bro.
I think the question is what happens with the next head coach, right? Who do they bring in? If it's even Urban Meyer. Because if it's Urban Meyer, I think it's still going to be a timeshare. I think that Travis Etienne is explosive enough, dynamic enough that he can still earn a role, and there will be a role for him in the offense. Obviously, when Urban Meyer drafted him, he had a plan for Travis Etienne. He knows who he is very, very well, probably even recruited him in college. So from that standpoint, I don't think J-Rob goes away, but I think they still kind of split time. But like we talked about, there will be value in the running back position on this team. We talked about that all offseason. There will be value, but we don't know where it's going to come from week to week, and it's the receivers that we don't know. Like even Visca, he was okay. He didn't have the best game.
I think that's who's going to get hurt.
Seal the game.
I think that's who's going to be hurt. I think I'd be trying to move Visca. I think Visca's going to be the one who's asked out when Travis Etienne comes back. But this was a great win for Jacksonville. They're home away from home in London. I'm just happy for Jacksonville. I'm happy for those players, happy for the coaching staff. They've had to deal with a lot. But you know what, Jay? I don't think Urban Meyer's going to go. I don't think he is. I really don't.
Can we go back to college for 1 second?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because Ed Orgeron is out at LSU at the end of the season. Do you think he's going to end up at USC now? Now that Urban maybe just stays in Jacksonville?
No, Ed O was already at USC as an interim coach, and they didn't hire him. They won't bring him back. Do you know why Ed O is gone? And it's not just the play on the field. Ed O is
I assumed he was fired, but it's a mutual parting of the ways.
Ed O likes to party with the young women, and he has no shame about being posty. Unlike Urban Meyer, Ed O will get a lap dance and not trip one bit, and will post it happily on social media. Ed O's got a lot of other stuff going on down there, man. That Cajun thing is swinging through him down there in Baton Rouge, man, and. Yeah, so let's go to the Packers versus the Bears. Aaron Rodgers did not have to do much in this one because he was surgical, right? own you. I still own you," as he screamed at the bit. The mics actually picked this up. And I was like, that's the Aaron Rodgers we love, right? 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae Adams, 4 for 89. I took the over on the 95.5 receiving yards, and he almost had it. He had caught like a bomb towards the end, steps out of bounds. It would have been money. But Devontae Adams, 4 for 89. A.J. Dillon getting more and more work. This is it's a little concerning for Aaron Jones. But, I think a lot of NFL teams, Jay, are learning from the Carolina Panthers. I think they're learning from what's going on with Christian McCaffrey, and you just can't pound. These running backs aren't built like how they were built years ago. They're not 230 Eddie George. They're not Derrick Henrys. They're not Earl Campbells. They're not Ricky Williams. They're not these big bruising running backs. Ronnie Brown that used to play for the Dolphins. These dudes are 198, 200 pounds, 205 pounds. And these defensive players are bigger, faster, stronger as well. You can't just bang these guys into the ground, man. And I think a lot of teams are deploying a 2 running back approach to kind of save the usage. And Aaron Jones was still fantastic, right? But A.J. Dillon, listen, I wasn't a big fan coming out of Boston College, but if he's going to get opportunity, then good for A.J. Dillon. Justin Fields, he kind of had a rough day, man. If you watch that game, he makes some great throws, and then he just looks like a rookie at other times. 174 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times. He hit the over on 30.5 pass attempts. They had no choice but to throw the ball. Khalil Herbert.
Under.
Under 30.5 pass attempts. Khalil Herbert looks fantastic, and I think he and David Montgomery are going to make a really nice 1-2 punch. 97 yards rushing for Khalil Herbert. Had a moderate length touchdown run. I think it was like 20-something yards called back, but then he gets in the end zone a couple of plays later. Herbert looks good. A-Rob and Darnell Mooney still struggling. It's a rookie quarterback. It's going to take some time. A-Rob, 53 yards. Mooney, 45 and a touchdown. Anything that you want to touch on from this game, Jay?
I want to say, though, that while Justin Fields didn't play his best, I think it was an encouraging step in the right direction. There was definitely an instance where this game could have got out of hand early. Playing against Aaron Rodgers, that's not an easy thing to do. Yes, you're at home, but there's the allure, right? I'm playing against Aaron Rodgers, someone he probably watched growing up for a long, long time. I think he held his own, and while he didn't play his best game and the Bears defense kept him in it, this is a step forward in the right direction. We talked about how he hadn't thrown the ball more than 20 times at all this season. He did that. And while it wasn't his best effort, I think, he's building towards something here. Like we've seen with Mac Jones building each and every week. Zach Wilson hopefully building each and every week. Trevor Lawrence especially building each and every week. I think it's good to see these rookie quarterbacks getting better and better every week. And I think Justin Fields took a step forward last night.
I agree. Good step forward for Justin Fields. Cincinnati Bengals 34, Lions 11. Cincinnati was only favored by 3 points. And Jay put LOL, check mark, money. Cash that bet. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, 271 and 3 touchdowns. He was fantastic. Joe Mixon, 94 rushing yards on the ground. Jamar Chase did his thing, right? 68.5 receiving yards, smashed his over. He had another 90 yards receiving, 97, I believe. And they were talking about it on the broadcast. He's the best deep threat in the NFL right now. Like right now, as a rookie, 6 games in, best deep threat in the NFL. I saw a stat that he's right on pace with Randy Moss as far as receptions, yards, and touchdowns for a rookie season. So we go from Justin Jefferson to Jamar Chase, the clear top dog out of the 2021 class, clearly. And the best play of the game, I think one of the best plays of the weekend was him blocking for Joe Mixon on that touchdown reception.
Yep.
Just the hustle. He just pancaked the defensive back. Have you seen the guy on Twitter who does the coaching stuff where he's like,
No.
You haven't seen him? He's blowing up on, it's from TikTok. So he sits there and he acts like a coach in the film room.
Yeah.
And he shows like plays where guys are just, you got to watch it. I'm going to tag you, but I guarantee this is going to be his next TikTok because Jamar Chase absolutely obliterated the defensive back. Just a great play for him to see. It was good to see Chris Evans. I talked about Chris Evans a lot during the draft process, and he's getting more and more work, man. He had a filthy touchdown catch, was split out wide, absolutely abused the linebacker. And I think we could see Chris Evans push for that RB2 role. Get Samaje Perine out of there. Let Chris Evans get more work in the receiving game. Bengals offense is nasty. Once they continue to put pieces around Joe Burrow, I can see them being a real contender in the AFC here in the next couple of years. Jared Goff looked terrible, 202 yards, 1 interception. Detroit, they definitely will be in the market for a quarterback next year. DeAndre Swift can't do anything on the ground. Nobody can. Jamal Williams can't run. DeAndre Swift can't run. The offensive line is in shambles. TJ Hawkinson got back on track, 8 for 74, and DeAndre Swift did his thing as usual through the air, 5 for 43, which sort of saved his day. Nothing else to talk about from this matchup, and we'll be very brief on the next one. The Texans and the Colts. And Stone knows exactly who I'm talking about. That dude is hilarious. Yes, it is. He is hilarious, man. Texans lost 3-31. The Colts got the win, but they are silly. I mean, the fact that Jonathan Taylor only had 3 carries in the first half, come the hell on, man. That's egregious. That should get Frank Wright fired right then and there. JT, despite only having 3 carries in the first half, he finished the game with 145 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, ripped off a long run in that game. He looks like the RB1 in fantasy if they give him the damn ball, right? Carson Wentz has been real solid this season. Say what you want about Wentz. He's playing well when he's on the field. He's battling through injury. He plays well. Davis Mills was terrible, but he smashed that over 185 yards. I said lock it in. It got juiced up to, I think it was like 205 by the time kickoff started. Yeah. He hit the over. That's all that matters. Davis Mills stinks. He will not be the quarterback for the Texans next year, but he hit the over, and that's all that matters. Brandon Cooks, 9 for 89, back on his B. Cook shit despite the quarterback play. Brandon Cooks, death taxes, and Brandon Cooks catching a lot of balls for a lot of yards. T.Y. Hilton was back finally, contemplated retirement, but he comes back, and he was out there making plays for the time that he was out there. And my final takeaway, the Houston Texans are terrible on both sides of the ball. The Rams versus the Giants, 38-11. The Rams took down the Giants. The Giants were at home, and it didn't matter. The Rams did whatever they wanted to do. They had their way with Daniel Jones from start to finish. Matt Stafford had 6 incomplete passes this game for 251 yards, 4 touchdowns. We had the over at 285, and we missed. They just didn't need it. They didn't need him to do it. He was so efficient. He was so good. And Cooper Kupp was back doing what Cooper Kupp does, catching a lot of passes for a lot of yards and TDs. 9 for 130, 2 touchdowns, over on the receptions, over on the receiving yards. Once again, Cooper Kupp, if you just bet Cooper Kupp's over every week, you probably are going to win a lot more than you lose. No other Rams wide receiver had over 36 yards. So while Bobby Trees got to feast a couple of weeks, it was back to bread and butter, Mr. I eat breakfast with you every day, Cooper Kupp. We talked about Daniel Jones being god-awful. That's putting it nicely.
That's an understatement.
That's an understatement. Yeah. He had 3 interceptions, 4 sacks, 2 fumbles, lost one of them. Just bad. Daniel Jones looks terrible. Kadarius Toney's like the only bright spot on that team right now, and he started off the game hot. 3 for 36 receiving. Then he limps off with an ankle injury, and that is it. And the Giants are ass. Anything about these 3 games that we covered, Jack?
No, man, I think you nailed it. The Rams, one of the biggest spreads for next week. I was looking ahead some look-ahead lines. They're favored by 16.5 next week.
Who do they play?
And take in, they are not the biggest. I forget what team they play, but take in, they are not the largest spread of the week. We will get to that later on.
Oh, boy. All right. Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington football team. The Chiefs won a weird game, 31-13. It was a weird game. It was a little closer than the final score. Mahomes got pissed off. You can tell. He was just like, let's end this. I'm tired of it. We need to get back to 500, and the Chiefs did just that. Mahomes, 397, 2 touchdowns, 2 tipped interceptions. Tyreek Hill dropped another one that was picked off. And then he actually tried to force one. He was falling down and threw it up. He didn't want to take the sack, and it got picked off down in the red zone. Daryl Williams plotted his way to 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is slow and terrible, but they trust him, and that's all that matters. Travis Kelce had a quiet 99, so he got his over on the receptions, over on the yards, and it was just quiet. Travis Kelce, just Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable. Tyreek Hill, a non-quiet 9 for 76 and 1 touchdown because he was just dropping passes, doing Tyreek Hill stuff, but he's Tyreek Hill and he's great. So he delivered for us in fantasy. Mahomes crushed his rushing prop once again. Every time I see Patrick Mahomes, I got him at 14.5 At kickoff, I believe it was raised up to 18.5, and I think he hit the 14.5 in one play. Patrick Mahomes is money, especially with no running back of consequence. Again, some player props, you just keep betting, and you will win more times than you lose. Patrick Mahomes' rushing prop cashes in again. Taylor Heineke is not the answer for the Washington football team. Watching him play football is brutal. It is absolutely dreadful. They will be in the market for a quarterback. Heineke probably can get him through 6 or 7 games next year and then get the rookie in because he is not good. J.D. McKissic led the way for Washington on the ground with 45 yards and through the air, 8 for 65. Antonio Gibson, is he hobbled by that injury, stress fracture in his tibia? Only 44 yards. I took the over on that and did not cash that prop bet. Not good for Antonio Gibson. And Terry McLaurin has been terrible since I proclaimed him to be a top 5 wide receiver. He is, ever since I said that, he has been terrible. Terrible Terry McLaurin, I know. He had Marshawn Lattimore last week and no excuse this week. Only thing I can think of is these good wide receivers who are held back by quarterback play. Hopefully that gets fixed in the near future. Ricky Seals-Jones, the chalkiest of chalk DFS player that I heard people talk about at the tight end position, balled out. And I just want to say J.D. McKissic is a real problem for Antonio Gibson. I know we want Antonio Gibson to be the next Christian McCaffrey, but as long as J.D. McKissic is there, that's probably not going to happen, man. He's just so good. He's good in the receiving game, and he gives you enough on the ground to keep you on the field. He's a third down weapon, and Washington continues to use him as such. Antonio Gibson, RB1 proclamations are not looking good right now. Minnesota Vikings and the Carolina Panthers. Kirk Cousins went off, 373 and 3 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins, man, just crockpot Cousins, just getting it done every single week, man. He's playing fantastic this year. Dalvin Cook, a.k.a. Paul Pierce of the NFL. Listen, I tweeted it out the other day, Jay. Dalvin Cook is either ripping off 30-yard runs or he's walking on the sideline with the athletic trainer. There's no in between. Dalvin Cook is neither healthy nor hurt. There's no in between. He's either healthy or he's hurt. He's hurt or he's healthy. But Dalvin Cook, when he's on the field, he looks fantastic. He's great, 29 carries, 140 yards, 1 touchdown, just fast, speed, elusive power. He's really, really good. Adam Thielen led the way through the air, going 11 for 126 and 1, was open all damn day. Justin Jefferson, 8 for 80, but missed 2 deep throws. Kirk Cousins overthrew him twice. Justin Jefferson probably should have had over 200 receiving yards in this matchup. Just 2 Kirk Cousins overthrows, and they would have been bombs for touchdowns. Justin Jefferson still balling out. And KJ Osborne, 6 for 78, got the game-winning touchdown in overtime. Sam Darnold's first pass of the game was picked off. He was terrible the entire game. And then in the fourth quarter, he decided he wanted to play some football and led that team back. Scoring drive, Robbie Anderson, 2-point conversion, got him to OT, and then, the Vikings just did their thing. Chuba Hubbard, 6 for 61 yards and 1 touchdown without Christian McCaffrey, who's going to be out at least the next 3 games after being put on IR, re-injured that hamstring. Get used to Chuba. This is a great opportunity for Chuba Hubbard. If Chuba Hubbard can perform well, I do not think we're ever going to see the type of usage we saw out of Christian McCaffrey in 2018 or 2019. I think that is gone, done, never to return again. So if Chuba Hubbard can continue to play well in Christian McCaffrey's absence, you could have a Tony Pollard type situation with Carolina. And people forget, as good as CMC is, he's 200 pounds, man. They got him listed at 205. He's not a big back, and for back-to-back seasons, he's been unusable for us in fantasy because of these soft tissue injuries, and you just have to wonder, is that usage and is that workload starting to wear down Christian McCaffrey? We saw it happen with David Johnson a couple of years ago. We saw it happen with Ezekiel Elliott. We're seeing it I'm concerned long-term, and if you're asking me right now, is he the 101 in rookie in dynasty startups? Is he the 101 in fantasy? My answer would be no. He's still a top 5, top 6 guy, but these injuries are starting to pile up for Christian McCaffrey at the most brutal position on the football field. DJ Moore, 5 for 73. Jay, you had the over at 75.5. Sam Darnold held you back, man. He did not want you to be great in this matchup with DJ Moore.
Yeah, broke my heart. I thought he might get it on that last reception. And then, overtime, I was like, oh, maybe. And Kirk Cousins said, nah, son. But KJ Osborne, I'm assuming you saw the game-winning touchdown when he threw his helmet like he thought he was Stephon Diggs for real, for real. I was like, come on, bro. Like, it's the regular season.
Yeah.
It's like he saw the Diggs play. He's like, oh, I want to do that. And he just took off his helmet, chucked it, almost hit an athletic trainer or whatever. Ridiculous. But to talk about Christian McCaffrey, the biggest thing to mention, I think, with Christian McCaffrey that people who may not understand, like, on top of his workload in the NFL, is also his workload in college, right? I look at players like Alvin Kamara, who have been relatively durable and continue to be durable, low usage guys in college. And so is like, you look at Josh Jacobs as well, another low usage guy in college. Do you think, Ray, we should be looking at these guys and their usage in college and kind of projecting forward a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, as to when these guys may break down in the NFL? Because, a lot of people say running backs first contract only, and a lot of people break that rule. They say Christian McCaffrey's an exception, Dalvin Cook's an exception, Derrick Henry is actually an exception because he's 240 pounds, he's huge, he's a beast. But a lot of guys don't follow that rule. It is a good rule for running backs, but people don't follow it. Jonathan Taylor, do you think he can be an exception to the rule? Again, high usage back in college, but coming to a second contract eventually.
A lot of people who are smarter than me, who dive into those numbers, said it has no bearing on the NFL. That's what a lot of people have said, that stuff doesn't matter. High touches in college don't correlate to more, injury in the NFL. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, at some point it has to, right? Those are collisions. Those are car wrecks. How much it factors in? Maybe a little bit, but not enough to where, CMC had 1 billion touches coming out of Stanford on every level. Running the ball, catching the ball, punt return, kick return, and he was great, 3 years into his career. I don't know, man. It'd be an interesting case study to go back and revisit. So I can't really speak on that, but, just generally speaking, it seems like it has some sort of impact. It doesn't seem like there's no impact whatsoever. But let's talk about the Raiders and the Broncos. The first game without Gruden and Derek Carr played great. 341 yards, 2 touchdowns. Teddy Bridgewater was all over the damn place. 334 yards, which is great. 3 touchdowns, which is great. But 3 interceptions, sacked 5 times, and 1 fumble. Not good for Teddy Bridgewater. Javonte Williams, give him more carries. He had 53 yards, just hit his rushing prop. I believe it was 50.5. Look, Fant and Sutton both went nuts. Both had 8+ receptions and 90+ yards. Jerry Jeudy designated return off of IR, so that pass-catching group is going to get a big boost with Jerry Jeudy coming back. Josh Jacobs, 53 rushing yards. Henry Ruggs continues to improve. 97 yards and 1 long TD, cashed his long reception prop. Darren Waller has been real quiet since week 1. Maybe a buy opportunity for Darren Waller, and Mad Max Crosby, 3 sacks in this matchup. He's been playing great. Going to be a Pro Bowler this season. The Arizona Cardinals, 37. The Browns, 14. You took the Cards plus 3.5 on the money line. Cash that, Jay. Good bet. Arizona remains as the only undefeated team in the NFL. Kyler Murray, efficient excellence, 229 and 4. James Conner led the team in rushing with 71 yards. And DeAndre Hopkins, if you did not see his first touchdown catch, it's just filthy. Caught it, split 2 defenders. He's just great, man. He's great. DeAndre Hopkins is great. Awesome. 3 for 55, 2 touchdowns. Hasn't really blown up this year, but he's just efficient, right?
Yeah.
That's what the Cardinals are doing. AJ Green, 79 and 1. Christian Kirk, 75 and 1. Rondale Moore, 3 for 16, and then 3 for 10 on the ground. Still, he's still kind of in there, 3rd, 4th in the pecking order on that Cardinals offense, but the future is bright for Rondale Moore. Baker Mayfield was Baker Mayfield. 234, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Got banged up. His arm was in a sling in the post-game interview. Looking back at that 2018 draft class, man, I'm not taking Baker over Lamar, over Josh Allen. I don't know, man. I don't know. Kareem Hunt, 66 rushing yards before leaving with a calf injury. Looks like he's going to miss some time. So now the Browns get even worse. Nick Chubb is out. Kareem Hunt is out. Baker Mayfield is hurt. He can't get Odell Beckham the ball. OBJ did have 8 targets, 5 for 79. Donovan Peoples-Jones led the way on his 5 targets, 4 for 101 and 2. Myles Garrett, I believe, had another 2 sacks in this matchup, and he is the league leader. I'm almost sure he's the league leader in sacks right now. Where we at? Ravens versus the Chargers. Jay, this was the game we thought was going to be the game of the week, and it wasn't. The Ravens beat them down, man, 34-6. Lamar Jackson didn't even play his best game, right? 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 8 for 51 on the ground. Interesting stat about Lamar Jackson, the most wins in NFL history before turning 25 years old. He is 35-8 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. So much for people figuring out Lamar Jackson. He's 35-8 as a starting quarterback. Latavius Murray hit his rushing pop at 41.5 yards. Good call, Jay. It sounded gross. You talked about it, but kudos to you. He did hit that. Mark Andrews, another great game, 5 for 68 and 1. Hollywood Brown dropped another touchdown right off his hands. Beautiful ball by Lamar Jackson. That's what you're going to get out of Hollywood. You're going to get great plays, and then he's going to drop wide open touchdown passes. Rashad Bateman, the rookie wide receiver out of Minnesota, 4 for 29 in his debut. But the Ravens defense was the story here. Made life uncomfortable for Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert looked mortal for a game. He looked like a mortal quarterback, right? And it's funny, man. Brandon Staley had some questionable play calls. And I was thinking about this, and I wanted to tweet this out all week. Brandon Staley seems like he's everyone's favorite coach now because of his pressures, right? And all I keep saying is he's everyone's favorite coach now until 2 years from now he hasn't won a Super Bowl and then everyone hates him, right? Brandon Staley. But he went for it on 4th down inside like their 25-yard line on their side of the 25. Just not smart. And the Ravens cashed that in. Like they looked so much better than the Chargers, even with Lamar Jackson not playing his best game. They had Le'Veon Bell running in touchdowns, Latavius Murray running. They're good. And whatever odds are on Lamar Jackson to win NFL MVP, that probably was a bet we should have placed a couple of weeks ago because he's got to be up there with Tom Brady and Josh Allen and Dak Prescott as front runners for this award. Lamar Jackson is just getting it done. Austin Eckler did nothing on the ground, absolutely blew up some of my prize picks slates. 6 for 7 on the ground. Keenan Allen, 5 for 50. Mike Williams, 2 for 27. He was hurt. The Ravens are for real, man. They are for real. Everybody was praising the Chargers as the best team in the NFL, one of the best teams. Put some respect on Baltimore's name. This is a damn good team, man.
Yeah, so to talk about Lamar Jackson, I just looked it up. DraftKings has him at 12-1 still behind Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, and Josh Allen. So a lot of the guys you mentioned, and tied with Matt Stafford, which I think is about right. I could see him being ahead of Matt Stafford. But to your point about this game, I was hoping it'd be close. But where I was really wrong was that the Chargers defense, and I talked about this, I talk about it almost every week, how bad they are against the run. When you have a team that can run with Le'Veon Bell, with Devonta Freeman, with Latavius Murray against you, and I think they all got about 8 or 9 carries and all went for about, I think, between 40 and 60 yards. I believe Freeman led the way with like 53 yards, something like that. That is a problem for a defense. When you have cast-off running backs running for 50 yards against you, that is a problem. And that is a problem that is not going away for the Chargers. They have a team that is great through the air, but they can't do anything on the ground, and that's going to be their downfall. Now, for me, I thought that at some point, Justin Herbert would just get cooking. You know, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. At some point, these guys need to get going. They just didn't. To your point about Brandon Staley, for weeks now, has been going for it on his 30-yard line, on his 40-yard line. It's worked. But when it doesn't work, we see the outcome, and they get blown out. Like, this is what's going to happen if you keep taking these risks and you're not playing the percentage games that you need to play in the NFL, because good teams will take advantage. Last week, same thing. The Browns couldn't take advantage. They couldn't stop them on 4th down. But now you play a good team like the Ravens. They get stopped. All of a sudden, you're down 15, 16, 17 points early in the game. You can't come back from that unless you have a heroic performance from an MVP quarterback. That didn't happen this week. Justin Herbert looked pedestrian, and they lost by a ton. Blowouts were the story of this week. So many blowouts across the board. The only one that wasn't a blowout that I really, really enjoyed was the Dallas-New England game.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but let's touch on Sunday Night Football real quick. Big Ben is throwing to Deontay Johnson or Najee Harris. Like, that's it. Like, if he doesn't throw to those two, it looks terrible. And those two are cashing out for us in fantasy and in the prop betting world. We both had Najee Harris locked and loaded over 71.5 yards. He cashed that. Went over 18.5 carries. Cashed that. 6 for 7 and 46 yards through the air with a touchdown. And he had a touchdown on the night. Najee Harris is fantastic. I mean, I asked the poll on Twitter, would you rather have Najee Harris or Christian McCaffrey in Dynasty right now? My answer would be Najee Harris. Deontay Johnson continues to get peppered with targets, leading the team in that category again. 13 targets, 9 receptions, 71 yards, and he had 25 on the ground, man. Deontay Johnson with a little rushing game. Big Pat Freiermuth. I told people during the draft process Pat Freiermuth was going to be a top 10 Dynasty tight end, and he's well on his way there, 7 for 7, 58 yards. That was it from the Pittsburgh side. Alex Collins was doing whatever he wanted on defense. They were going to talk about his dance routine, river dancing.
His Irish dancing or whatever.
Irish dancing. Chris Carson placed on IR. That neck injury is pretty scary from what I hear from a lot of medical professionals. Alex Collins, 24-101 in TD. RB3, RB2, flex play, moving on out. As long as he's got that role, he looked fine. DK Metcalf, this was my issue with Geno Smith. People were like, great, Geno targeted Tyler Lockett and DK coming in relief of Russell Wilson. But when they had a week to put tape on Geno Smith, DK had 6 for 58. My pick for him to lead the league in receiving yards as well as Calvin Ridley, neither of those are looking good right now. TJ Watt, big strip sack and OT to give the Steelers field position to get to overtime, to win it in overtime. To win it in overtime. So there goes Pittsburgh right there. But the game of the weekend, the Dallas Cowboys 35, New England Patriots 9. I had anxiety. I mean, Dallas was playing pedestrian. They weren't awake this entire game. And then towards the end of the game, towards the end of regulation, they got it in order. We overcame the ineptitude of Mike McCarthy and his bad clock management once again. But Dallas came out and they dominated time of possession. They dominated the plays. But going into halftime, we were down 14-10 to the rookie-led Mac Jones New England Patriots. Dallas did cover the spread at -4.5. Good call, Jay, on that one. You locked that in early. And Dak Prescott, honestly, at this point, he should have comeback player of the year, signed, sealed, delivered with his name on it. Go ahead and engrave that. He will win comeback player of the year, but he's right up there as far as the MVP odds as well. You know, I tweeted this out last night, Jay. Dallas could very well have the comeback player of the year, defensive rookie of the year, defensive player of the year, maybe coach of the year, and potentially the MVP all on this 2021 team. Now, is Dak going to win MVP? I don't know, but I've got some action on it. But he's playing like an MVP. We know he's going to win comeback player of the year. Trayvon Diggs, another interception in this matchup, and not only did he pick it off, he returned it for a touchdown. This team is playing very, very well. Kellen Moore is doing his thing, calling those plays, making sure Dak Prescott is comfortable in his concepts and his designs and his routes, hitting the open receivers, and Dak Prescott backed it up. He threw the ball 51 times, crushing his over-under. Prize Picks had his over-under at 273 yards. Dak went out there 36 for 51, 445 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception, which came in the end zone. 0 sacks. Great job by the offensive line. Tyron Smith had a scare, was out for a little bit, comes back in. But, man, that offensive line is giving Dak all the time he needs. He's so good, man. And to see where he's come from being a 4th-round pick out of Mississippi State, backing up Tony Romo, just to see his development and maturation, it's just been nothing short of spectacular. I mean, Dallas really found a franchise quarterback in the mid-rounds of the NFL draft, and Dak Prescott is playing. Drew Brees said it on the broadcast last night. He's playing like a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. You know, I'd ask you, outside of Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, who's playing better quarterback right now than Dak Prescott? And I think he's playing better than Stafford, man. I think he's the second best quarterback in the league behind Tom Brady right now. I'm not talking fantasy. I'm not talking dynasty. I'm just talking about playing right now. I would take Dak Prescott over everybody not named Tom Brady, which he almost took down Tom in week 1 after that devastating leg injury. Ezekiel Elliott, 16 for 69, so they're still feeding the beast. Didn't find a lot of room to run in this one, but we liked the over. Zeke didn't hit the over, but that's okay. Tony Pollard, 41 yards. Prize Picks had him at 41.5. Brutal. We needed 1 more yard from Tony Pollard to hit. But a quiet week for Tony Pollard. And listen, everybody out there that was like, Tony Pollard needs all the carries. No, continue to use Tony Pollard in conjunction with Ezekiel Elliott the way they're doing. They still ran the ball. Loved the offensive strategy from Dallas. Keep doing that. Dalton Schultz continues his weekly shit, man. He's just consistent. 5 for 79. Dalton Schultz, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. A lot of people think it's a fluke. It is not a fluke. They are going to re-sign him. He is going to be the tight end of the future. He's played excellent. He's good in the blocking game, and he's a fantastic pass catcher. Amari Cooper, 5 for 55. And CeeDee Lamb. I think, Jay, that CeeDee Lamb, the torch was like really, really passed to CeeDee Lamb today. Now, a lot of people from Dallas, a lot of people in the community already thought CeeDee Lamb was the best wide receiver, but I think it just shows. Like, he is the alpha in that offense. Amari Cooper taking a step back to CeeDee Lamb. That's not to say Amari Cooper won't have his big games, but CeeDee Lamb is the guy. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and the way the target distribution is going right now from Dallas, it's CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, then some Amari Cooper. And it's going to be interesting to see how this offense incorporates Michael Gallup when he comes back from IR from his, I believe it was a lower leg injury. But CeeDee Lamb, 9 for 149, 2 touchdowns, caught the game-winning touchdown in overtime. And again, we talked about Trayvon Diggs, another pick 6. Randy Gregory was dominant on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, just dominating the offensive tackles from New England. It was brutal, man. Randy Gregory looking like that guy coming out of Nebraska who a lot of people thought would be the number 1 overall pick had he not had some off-the-field issues. And I just want to point out, Dallas should have been up 7 because we were robbed on that Dak Prescott quarterback sneak. I have no clue how on earth the referees said that he did not score that, but neither here nor there. Ball don't lie. Dallas got it done in overtime. But I want to talk about the New England side of the ball because I just want to say I think Mac Jones is going to be a really good player, man. He's going to be a really good player. I don't know what that means. Don't ask me what his ceiling is. He's going to be really good. And I think New England, instead of trying to protect him, just let him throw the ball. Like, he only threw the ball 21 times. He was 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. One of those interceptions off of Kendrick Bourne's hands, maybe a little stretched out. That's the one where Trayvon Diggs picked it off and took it back for a touchdown. The Diggs was responsible for 14 points in back-to-back plays. He picked 6 1 for 7, and then he got beat deep. And I know a lot of people said the safety, KZ, didn't read that right, but Diggs got beat on a double move. Mac Jones came right back after throwing a pick 6 and delivered a strike for a 75-yard touchdown pass. He had a beautiful touchdown throw to Hunter Henry in the end zone. Mac Jones is going to be good, man. He hit. And if we're being real, man, there was a point in time where I was like, man, Dallas is about to lose this. Mac Jones hit Nelson Aguilar on a dig route wide open across the field, and Nelson just dropped it. Just stone hands dropped the ball across the middle of the field, which gave Dallas an opportunity to go down and kick the field goal to tie it, to send the game to overtime. I think he's going to be a really good player. You get some more pass catchers around this kid. He impressed me. He looked really good. In New England at this point, I think they're 2-4. Just let him throw the ball. Like, I get they're trying to protect him. Just let him sling it around because that was a big boy throw by Mac Jones. Damian Harris, 18 for 101 and 1. He was hobbled this game in and out of the lineup, but he gutted out 100 yards, and I thought he was pretty impressive. It was good to see Damian Harris get his 100 yards. Fantasy did his thing. We'll see. Ramondre Stevenson played well, scored a touchdown as well. New England Patriots wide receivers are terrible. They are terrible. I mean, Jacoby Myers, love him, hard worker, good story, reliable pass catcher, not a number 1. Nelson Aguilar, not a number 1. Jonnu Smith, I think New England is regretting every ounce of money they gave Jonnu Smith because this dude just doesn't look like he's even any part of this offense. It's just bad, man. Bad. Ramondre was the Patriots' 3rd leading receiver in this game in yards and targets and 2nd in receptions. That's how bad the pass catchers are in New England. It's brutal. Just look at the stat line. But this was a great win from Dallas. They needed this one on the road in New England versus Bill Belichick. Hell of a win for the Dallas Cowboys. Impressive performance by the offense and the defense. What do you have, Jay?
Oh, man, I think you nailed it. But I think more importantly, like, I really want to see more of Ramondre Stevenson. It's come to a point now where it's like, what are we really doing here? When Ramondre looks like one of our best players and he never plays. I get he fumbled, week 1 or week 2. Come on. Like, at some point, you're 2-4. Like, get your more talented players on the field. To your point about the receivers, they stink. They've always stunk. They paid all this money for a bunch of garbage, got players that no one really wanted. Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, I actually do like. I think he has utility in a lot of offenses.
That dude is.
But again,
he's no number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, he's a number 3, number 4. He's great in the red zone, which is why I like him. So again, another hot guy who can high point the ball. We've seen that before from him. But other than that, like, they don't have anything. And like I've told you so many times, it's that I don't trust Bill Belichick with wide receivers. They need to get someone who can actually scout wide receivers and let them do their job, because Bill, whether he's signing tight ends, whether he's signing wide receivers, he's never been good at it. So he needs to just accept that. He needs to own that shit, and he needs to just let someone else come in, because Mac Jones needs weapons. And unless he goes out and brings in Treylon Burks or David Bell, and he'll probably pass on them for someone else like John Mechie, because he's the answer for this offense. I don't know, man. Like, I love what they're doing on defense. I thought they looked really good. They played well against Dallas.
Yeah.
They stopped the run. They stopped Amari Cooper. Can't stop everybody. They had to choose their spots. Dak Prescott, like you said, 36 for 51, 445, and 3. you can't stop Dak. You can try, but you're just not gonna. But the Patriots, man, they just need to figure it out for Mac because, like you said, he's playing so well. Easily the best rookie so far. Do you think he's going to beat out Trevor Lawrence Rookie of the Year? I think is a very real question right now.
I don't know, man. I think it's a three-way race between Mac, Jamar Chase, and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
but
true.
I
Jamar
think
Chase, yeah.
I think Mac is still second to Jamar Chase right now. After the Sunday games, one thing about Dak was seen in a walking boot. They injured his calf. Luckily, Dallas has a bye next week, so he gets another week of rest. But that's not good. If he is hurt, just leave him out. Let him be healthy for the rest. It's a lot of season left. So do not push it, Dallas. And I see some people talking about Jerry Jones better have a backroom deal with Kellen Moore to take over as the head coach. Kellen Moore is probably going to be the hottest head coaching candidate this offseason.
Yeah.
Him. You might hear Lincoln Riley, Joe Brady. I want Kellen Moore. Like, Dallas needs to lock him up. I don't care what they have to do, but tell him you will be the head coach in Dallas in the next couple of years. Just hang with us and continue to work with Dak. Fantastic job by the Cowboys. Good win. We are 5-1, baby, and I am happy this Monday morning here in Dallas, Texas. Now, we've got a Monday Night Football matchup. The Buffalo Bills and the Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills versus the Derrick Henry-led Tennessee Titans. Buffalo is favored by 7 in this matchup with an over or under 53. Where are you at in this one, Jay?
I like Buffalo to cover the points. They've scored 35 points in their last 4 straight games, so that should be maybe not a lock, but they should probably score at least 30. So from that standpoint, it's like Tennessee, what are they going to do? Yes, they have Derrick Henry, but the Bills are only allowing 73 yards a game on the ground. So I kind of think Buffalo's going to win pretty easily, and they are at home, which helps. We know the Bills Mafia is going to be going crazy, tailgating, Monday Night Football. I think Josh Allen's going to want to put on a show on primetime. But I'm taking the Bills with the points. The over-under, I'm iffy, though, because the Titans, they're kind of inconsistent. They can score points. I think they will score points, but the Bills' defense is really good. So if they're not turning the ball over, if they're moving the ball, I think it's going to be more of a low-scoring game. But if there's turnovers, short fields, then you're going to start to see overs. Again, I think the Bills can hit 30. So I think, the over is in play, but then you still need the Titans to score 15 to 20, and I don't know if they can do that. Even with Derrick Henry, Julio Jones is supposed to be back. A.J. Brown is potentially going to be back, but he's questionable with an illness. So at least it's not an actual injury. He's just, sick, whatever that is. It's not COVID, but, hopefully he's back because Ryan Tannehill, his over-under is only 236 yards, and I really like that if everyone's there. But if it's not, it's kind of like, I don't know, man. He's going to have to throw the ball for them to win. It's going to have to happen. They can run play action with Derrick Henry, but at the end of the day, they need Ryan Tannehill to throw the ball a lot if they're going to keep up with the Bills. I think Josh Allen could go over. I want to hear your thoughts on his number because what was it? It was 276.5 or 286.5.
287.5 and 2.5 passing touchdowns.
Very high number for Josh Allen, but the reason why it's so high, one, Josh Allen's dope. But he's only hit that in 2 of 5 games. Main reason why is because they've been keep playing in blowouts. The Bills have only allowed 12.6 points per game and have 2 shutouts this season. So it just comes down to, what can the Titans do against this defense? And, Ray, what do you think? Because, I love Josh Allen's over for both passing touchdowns and yards. I think he can do it. But is he not going to throw the ball enough to get there?
Yeah, that's my issue. I think Tennessee's going to run the ball, and that's going to just eat time off the clock. He should be able to hit it, but I think both teams are going to run the ball. I like Josh Allen's over rushing yards. I think they showed a formula last week. Tennessee is susceptible up the gut with running backs, so I like Josh Allen's over on his rushing yards. 2.5 passing touchdowns. I probably wouldn't touch that in 287. He should hit that if it's a high-scoring game, but listen, Buffalo's only allowing 78 rushing yards per game. That's it. So if they can't, if they try to establish the run and can't get it going with Derrick Henry and you're asked Tannehill to throw against this defense, I can just see turnovers, quick strikes. I just don't have a lot of confidence in this one, even though I have a ton of confidence in Josh Allen. I do like Emmanuel Sanders' longest reception over under 22.5. I would probably take the over. He has done that, I believe, in the past couple of games. He's hit that.
It's 3 of 5, yeah.
3 of 5 he's hit it.
He's playing the deep threat role, which is dope because you don't expect it from Sanders, but he's been sneaky good. He's been sneaky good. Another one I want to throw at you is Dawson Knox plus 165 to score a touchdown. He's been touchdown machine this season. Dawson Knox has been really, really good.
And plus
so
165,
165 is pretty solid.
That's solid. God, I hate banking on touchdowns, man. Like, it's just, because he could have a great game and not score. But
Yeah.
I think those are good numbers for him. My man Hunter asked, do we have any locks? I don't have any locks tonight. Honestly, I did a lot of stuff. I hit a lot of stuff over the weekend, so I'm trying to relax right now. But I don't have any locks. I think Tennessee gets this done. I mean, not Tennessee, but Buffalo gets this done. Derrick Henry, it's going to be interesting. 12.5 receiving yards.
I like that
maybe.
number.
I kind of like that, 12.5 receiving yards for Derrick Henry. And just real quick, Josh Allen, we said 287.5. This should be very much within his wheelhouse, but I don't know if the game script is going to be there. I could see Josh Allen running a lot, but honestly, I don't have a lot of confidence in picks in this game. Do want to talk about, tomorrow we'll recap the Monday Night Football game. And then the NBA is back, man. I'm seeing all kind of clips of Giannis Antetokounmpo going down, pulling up. Yo, if Giannis develops a mid-range, it's a wrap. If he can consistently hit mid-range jumpers, turn around, like Giannis is in his bag. He's doing everything that we want Ben Simmons and company to do. He's doing it, man.
Yeah.
Like, Giannis looks good in preseason. We get the Bucks versus the Nets, Lakers versus the Warriors. We're going to do our NBA awards picks this week. This is it's going to be a good week. It's going to be a short week. I've got a wedding to go to on Friday. So we'll figure out if Friday will be no show. We'll figure out if Thursday, depending on when I got to take my son to school, get back, we'll figure something out for Thursday. But Jay, appreciate you this Monday. It's Rapid Fire Monday, getting through all the games, previewing the Monday night game. Appreciate everybody tapping in. Make sure you subscribe to the Wake Up with Ray G podcast. Go to the Bets TV YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel. Subscribe. Tap in. Make Monday great. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. We out. Peace.